Before we get started, we just want to thank Old Republic Surety for sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety, as well as NASBP virtual seminars for the 5th year in a row. For more information on Old Republic Surety, visit www.orsurety.com. Now on to our show.
You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hey everyone, it's Kat Shamapande. Welcome to this episode of Let's Get Surety. I've got with me today my co-host, Mark McCallum, CEO of NASBP. Hey Mark, thanks for being on.
Hi Kat, absolutely. Looking forward to the discussion today.
Me too. We've got an exciting conversation today. We're talking about another great industry association called Women in Surety. So to have that conversation today, we have with us Nancy Schnee. Hey Nancy, thanks for being on.
Thank you. Good morning.
Nancy is the Senior Vice President of American Global, LLC, and President and Founding Board Member of Women in Surety. We also have Chandar Potter. She's a Head of Commercial Surety at Munich Re Specialty Insurance, Vice President and Founding Board Member of Women in Surety. Thanks for being on, Chandar.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy to be here.
And last but definitely not least, we have on Carol Levine, President of Arthur B. Levine Company, Incorporated, and co-founder of Women in Surety. Thanks for being on, Carol.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Well, before we dive into talking about women in surety, I was wondering if each of you could tell us a little bit about yourselves and about your organizations. Nancy, could you start off and tell us a little bit about you and about American Global?
Absolutely. I'm a Senior Vice President with American Global. We are a surety and insurance brokerage firm, independently owned, privately held company that operates throughout the U.S. and recently Canada. I am in the surety area, and my specialty is all forms of surety bonding, including a specialty area also in subcontractor default insurance. And I started in the industry 37 years ago, and first as a company underwriter with Cigna Insurance before I moved over to the brokerage side. And like many people in the industry, I happenstanced into surety. It was, I was in college. I sent out 100 resumes to banks and insurance companies, and I landed a position as a trainee with Cigna in Philadelphia. And my career was launched from there, and I've enjoyed my time to this date in the industry.
That's terrific. Chandar, how about you? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Munich Re Specialty Insurance?
Yes, thank you. So I am recently with Munich. I'll start with Munich Re Specialty. So just started with them about a month ago as the head of commercial surety group. Munich Re, for those that don't know, is the largest reinsurance company, and they decided that they wanted to move into primary coverages, and surety being one of them. So about a year and a half ago, contracts started up, and then I was brought on board about a month ago to start the commercial operations, and eventually we're going to move into international. So pretty new, doesn't mean I'm new to the industry. I've been doing this about 28 years, similar stories to a lot of people. I wanted a job after I graduated. I went to Syracuse University and I moved back home and quickly decided that I needed to not be at home as much as we all love family. And it's a different world now, right? With COVID, everyone's like, oh, please come home. I think my family would still be like, get out. But so I didn't know what it meant, but I was hired by, I was the last person interviewed and started my illustrious career in upstate New York, where I'm from, at Kemper, and worked there for a few years, and then went to Cigna, and then Cigna became ACE, and ACE is now Chubb, but then I moved over to Zurich Surety, and now I'm at Munich Re. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm happy to be here. And along the way, I've met lots of people. But always been a commercial surety, but dabbled here and there with Fidelity as well as a little bit of contract.
That's terrific. So how about you, Carol? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Arthur B. Levine Company?
Sure. It's a family business named after my father. I started actually in the late 80s. So I have a long history and a broken history because I did that while I was doing my MBA. And then I left for many years to have a management consulting career. And then I came back after my father passed away. He passed away in 2004. I consulted for a little bit and then took over full time in 2006. Our firm is only commercial surety. So for me, the contract side is a little bit different, and I love learning about it. We've done some of the performance contract stuff, but never any of the real, dig deep contract developer stuff. So that's always very intriguing to me. And our business focuses on primarily court bonds, anything in the trust and estates arena. Those are probably the two biggest pieces. And then, in any kind of commercial, so whether it be lost securities or, auctioneer bonds, anything else. Then we also partnered nationally, which I'm not sure you're familiar with Adams Levine, Surety Bond Insurance Solutions. And so nationally, I'm a partner with George Adams from Houston, Texas, and we focus exclusively on bankruptcy. So the restructuring industry and bank depository bonds. So we have a large portfolio of those businesses, which everybody knows has been a little dicey recently and exciting. So nothing like a good challenge.
Yeah, it sounds like that would keep things interesting for sure.
Really.
Well, Carol, since I understand you are the founder of Women in Surety, can you tell us a little bit about how that story started? How did Women in Surety come about?
Sure. So first of all, I co-founded it with Maria Duhart, who is a senior executive at AXA XL now, who has really taken the world by storm. When she and I first sat down, she was at Nationwide at the time. So she's already, continued to accelerate her career, similar to how Chandar has just taken a new position. So Nancy's moved since we started. It's really quite exciting to see all the movement. But back then, Maria and I had talked for quite a while, and finally we sat down one day and said, "Okay, we need to get this together." And we literally, like on the back of a napkin, just wrote down lists of who we thought would be good board members, and we very clearly knew that there was no organization that brought together contract and commercial and all of the related industries. So the claims, legal, accounting, all of those different parts. So that became very clear to us that there was a spot in there that was completely missed. And so we put together a board. Chandar and Nancy were both on that original board. Everybody was super receptive to joining, which in itself told us very early on that we were onto something. You never quite know, like, is it just us? Is it in our head? But no, the response has been tremendous. And it just started from there. And so our first event was in January, I think it was January or maybe March of 2017. And we started meeting monthly, and we have never skipped since then. It's an extremely dedicated board, and there's been a lot of outflow from that. And I'm sure we'll get to that later on. So I'm not going to jump the gun.
So when you were just starting out, were you based primarily in the New York, New Jersey area, or is that kind of where you were founded?
Yes, we were founded in the New York metropolitan area. Absolutely. That's where we are. That's where it started. There's a lot of industry there.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of comes through New York eventually for their meetings. And that's where we started.
That's terrific. So Nancy and Chandar, you were original board members as well. What drew you in when Carol reached out and invited you to be a part of this?
So for me, I don't know if it was actually Carol who reached out, but one of the several people who were part of the founding board reached out and spoke about the idea, the concept to bring women together to have a cohesive group, to one that didn't exist in the industry already, to be able to have a group to network, to work together for professional development, education, just all sounded super exciting. And plus it was a group of women I didn't know. So it was part that. And it was also very interesting because it was a combination of underwriters from carriers, brokers, commercial surety underwriters, contract surety underwriters, a very diverse group of women, diverse in many different ways. And I'm always interested in growing my network. So this seemed really very exciting. But quite frankly, that some of that is looking back at it now. I think I accepted going to a first meeting to hear what it was about, and quickly realized from that, when you put this group of women that were together, this initial group together in one room, there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of power, and you feel that immediately. So from the onset, from that first meeting, it felt super exciting, and I was energized to continue the discussion, see where it went.
I would echo that sentiment. So Carol was one of the people who had asked me, and actually, I remember I was at a Surety Association event, like mid food in my mouth. So, captive audience there. But, I didn't choke, and I said, yes, okay, I'll come. And like Nancy said, there is now, but at the time, the only time you would see people would be at those events, at a golf event. And not everybody attends the events for various reasons, especially in New York. And so it was really just an opportunity to meet people, network, see what we could do. If you weren't getting opportunities to grow and expand or learn at your own company, we thought it would be a great opportunity for us to bring it to people. And so that's us brainstorming together. And like Nancy and Carol said, we are forces to be reckoned with, sometimes with each other too, but in general, we all come together to move it all forward. We have a lot of opinions and a lot of directions, and everyone has a hat that they put on to try to move it all forward. And where we excel, it comes through on the board and what we've been able to accomplish so far.
That's great. So as a former association general counsel, I get fascinated by structure. And so I was wondering if you'd tell us a little bit about kind of when you founded it, what structure Women in Surety takes, and whether it's predominantly national, or are you looking at expanding through chapters, for example? So give us a little bit of background on that front, if you would. Carol, would you take a shot at that?
Sure. So we always knew that we wanted to expand nationally. That was always the vision. In fact, it's possible that there could be international expansion at some point, but national expansion was always on the horizon. And so, let's go back to, I was a management consultant. So like you, Mark, process and, having an idea of where you're going is very important to me as well. And so we've always worked in that direction. And the big focus for us is organic growth. There are a lot of organizations that force growth, that invite people in, and then they're disappointed because the passion isn't there. And we've done it exactly opposite. People have approached us all along the way from across the country. They get word of mouth from somebody who's working in the Northeast, or maybe they were visiting and they were brought to an event. And it's whispered down the alley, or they saw something on LinkedIn and they gung-ho want to work on that and want to expand. And the first person who really bid on it was Robin Anstutz in the Midwest. She and I had been at some similar surety events. And again, I never would have known her if I wasn't brought in by this particular surety. And so we talked for a couple of years, actually, before she decided, yeah, I'm into this. I'm going to put a board together. And that's how we do it. And so you're not an organization until you get a board together and you have that interest. So it takes one person to start that, but it takes a whole group. And for us, we have a board, we have our governance, we have our bylaws, we have very strict committees. And, that continually expands depending on what the need is. We knew we needed events. We knew we wanted a mentorship program. We knew we wanted an education program, because these all fit into what our goals are. You can't do any of that without a communications committee. And we went out to all the interested people and, said, this is what's available. If you would like to participate, let us know what interests you. And that's how we've grown, and that's how we've encouraged the other groups to grow as well.
I mean, that sounds terrific. It sounds like you have a really full structure and a lot of opportunity for people to get involved and volunteer in their interest areas, it sounds like.
Exactly. And we want them to have leadership opportunities. And so if we're telling organizations to give, the surety companies themselves to give people leadership opportunities, we have to set the example.
Hmm. So you talked a little bit about your location in the Northeast and then the Midwest. I know you've expanded beyond that at this point as well. Can you talk a little bit about how that organic expansion has happened across the country?
Nancy, why don't you take that?
Yeah.
Sure. Yes. Almost 2 years ago, we decided it would be important to establish an expansion task force because we were hearing from a lot of women across the country about their interest to do what we have done. And we decided that it took us 6 years to create a well-oiled machine, and it shouldn't need to take that long for other women across the country with our assistance. So we created a task force so that we could bring the interested women onto calls with us and to help them structure their own local affiliation. And to date, we have an established Midwest chapter, West Coast chapter, Southeast chapter, and most recently Texas.
Oh,
So
wow.
we are really growing, and this expansion task force meets monthly, sometimes bi-monthly. Carol and I are currently co-chairs of that expansion task force, and people come and go. We all realize we all work full time, and we dedicate a lot of time to women in surety, but we dedicate a lot of time to our jobs. So it's fluid, but we are there as a resource and a guide to help women grow chapters across the country and to maintain a consistent brand, which is really important for us. It took us a long time and a lot of effort and a lot of we all hold on to this like it's our baby, and we want this brand to continue, and it's a great brand, and women are very excited about it, and it's very exciting for us to see them excited to do what they're doing. And it's just about every day we all will go on our Gmail and look at a woman reaching out and saying, just as recent as yesterday, "Hey, I'm in Indianapolis. I'd like to set up a chapter. Can you help?" So we make the connections with the closest region, but we also make ourselves available for support. And we've had that sort of contact from Canada, from the UK. Somebody reached out from South America. What I can say is the word is out. There is no putting this back in the box.
That's great to hear about that kind of a
exciting.
growth. Yeah.
There's no shortage of need, I'm sure, for support, networking, and education. So there's opportunities everywhere, as you're seeing. Tell me a little bit more about some of the other volunteer areas within the organization and some of the focuses right now. Chandra, would you take a stab at that, if you would?
Yeah, so all of it is a volunteer effort. Just because we're all on a committee or a board doesn't mean we're not volunteering. But so when I first joined, it wasn't my specialty, but it became my specialty, which was communications. And so I think a lot of the reason why we picked up steam and gotten a lot of notice is because of our website getting put together and making changes to that real time, LinkedIn posts. And so very much just like you all, the more you post, the more people have the opportunity to see it. And I think, the communications has been vital, but obviously technology has helped with that. So it's a big piece to try to make sure we're providing content, making it catchworthy in that moment, and that's how we're able to grow. But even on each committee, so volunteering to pick places for our events, or even just down to what food should we have? Should we not have food? Should we have cocktails? Should we not? Can it be fun?
Yeah.
Not just an event for the sake of it is can be very nerve-wracking, if you will. And then or videoing, just like or this is a podcast. We haven't done podcasts yet, but just the video alone and trying to make sure all the technology works. And it was really, no one says it was really great for COVID, but it was helpful for us in the learning process to be able to do that and hone that a little bit more. But it's all volunteer mentoring. Us as board members throughout have volunteered to be a mentor and even sometimes a mentee, because no matter how many years in the business you have, you can still learn from the people who are there. So it's all, volunteering for each committee that we're on, expansion, sponsorship, trying to get people to support us, whether that be a company, it could be for someone to speak, it could be monetary, it could just be donating some swag. But it's all, each little piece is definitely a volunteer effort. And like Nancy said, we all have roles, but we forget. But it's, one more thing, can you do it? And in between, it's like, take your kids to soccer while you're on your phone doing it. So anybody can volunteer. And I want to, I guess, make it clear. And yes, we are talking about women empowerment and women in surety, but we would be nowhere without the help of anyone and propping us up, but also participating as a volunteer as well in a capacity that is helpful. So I'm putting it out there. We don't want to just think because we are women in surety, it's in the name, and yes, hear us roar. Everyone is welcome, and we want people to participate because it also helps show what we're accomplishing and spread the word.
I'm very intrigued by, I forget who mentioned mentoring, but we all know how important that is in career progression. All three of you are very senior in your careers, have wonderful experience, but I imagine mentoring is so important to women in surety generally, and then to the organization. Would somebody like to kind of describe what you're doing now, particularly for a woman who is fairly new in her career in surety? What kind of opportunities are there for her? Nancy, would you like to?
Sure. Yes, we just started our 6th mentor-mentee rotation, and I've had 5 mentees up to this point, and it's been a fabulous experience. Hopefully they feel the same way, but it's been a fabulous experience for me. And I've stayed in contact with and friends with those women, and actually doing business with some of them now because I know them better. And it's a fantastic opportunity for someone coming into and growing within the industry. I'm actually really proud of my new mentee who I'm just getting to know because she's in the industry for 4 months and is already enrolled in AFSB classes and seeking out women in surety and joined the mentorship program. Fabulous, right? That's somebody who's taking their career very seriously, very early on. And I said to her that you are connecting with women in surety, and through this program and everything else that women in surety will offer you is going to be incredibly, incredibly valuable to you. And this mentorship cycle, we have 22 pairings this round, up from, I believe, 12 or 14 pairings last year. So people have shared how much they value this program. And we have, talking about allies, male allies, we have our first male mentor as part of the program. Yep, we do. Kevin Riley, who is recently joined Nationwide. He is a mentor. So those programs are open to everybody. And it is one of our best offerings for sure. And the program starts out with something really fun, which is everybody gets together in a bar area of a restaurant, and they have speed dating. So you get an opportunity to sit down with your potential mentor, learn a little bit about them after 5 minutes, and you get their bio also. And then you have your first, second, and third choices of who you'd like to be paired with. And the program, the committee, very, very great committee that runs that program, tries very hard to match the mentees up with requested mentor. And it is, can't say enough about that program. We also offer it remotely for those who can't be in the New York metro area. Right now, we are the only of the affiliates that have an established mentorship program. Others will, but we offer it remotely for any paid member. So
I just want to add to that. One of the things I found really fascinating this time being at the speed networking was that we had 2 attorneys there. We also had somebody actually come down from Syracuse because she so badly wanted to be involved and meet everybody to propel her career forward. So that was a difference. In addition to having a man join us as a mentor, we're very excited about that because it speaks to the scope of to whom we're speaking and to whom we're appealing and who we're trying to draw in.
And Carol, have you had the chance to be a mentor as well as part of the program?
Oh yeah, several times. In fact, since this is the second one, I would say second time, I would say that my pod. So I stay in touch with all of my mentees, and we seem to have an annual Yankee game now. And I will say we spent a lot of the time just talking. We just get so excited to see each other. And yes, I have another mentee this year. And it's really exciting because she's a little different in that she's been in the industry a couple of years and I'm her third mentor. She
Oh,
loves
wow.
the program so much and getting the different perspectives.
Oh.
So that's really fascinating. So talking with her about, where she is now and what her current goals are is really very interesting. So we've already connected and we have a regular schedule set up. And I love it because you get to know somebody really well. And maybe you knew them before, maybe you didn't. You certainly know them really well by the time you're done. And having the program, especially through the pandemic, I think was very powerful because for some people it could be really isolating and we all had some different challenges and you had somebody else to talk to about, business issues, sometimes personal issues would come in there because life was just a little bit different. And also just staying upbeat and being able to, go on with your life when things got tough. It was very powerful. So I'm really excited about this program.
And Chandar, do you have experiences from the mentoring program as well that you might want to share?
Yes, I do. So I did not participate in all of the mentorship programs, but I did do it once or twice. And I've been adjacent with that. I did more of the behind the scenes and the speed dating idea and setting it up. But I have some of the same people that Carol and Nancy connect with. I connect with too, work with them, cross paths. So I at the time had just a younger team, and so I was mentoring already at my company, and it was just something else in general and outside of the industry. So through school, my alma mater. So it was. I'm going to rotate next now that I'm in this new role. I think I'll participate in the next cycle. So the nice thing about our program is you can participate when you can, but definitely pick back up and do it again. And also, like Carol was saying, it's not a one and done scenario. You can do it multiple times, and we can all learn from anybody or things that you may have perception and it changes once you have like one-on-one conversation with people.
Well, and working on all the behind the scenes pieces is no small thing, Chandar. So I don't think you should sell yourself short on that.
No, thank you.
He's our tech guru, Chandar.
I was. So it's every so often I'll dip back in, but I want to rotate to other things as well. It's not just me or not just others. I too want to go around and try other things.
So we touched already a little bit about communications and networking and mentoring, and you also mentioned education. Carol, would you mind telling us a little bit more about some of the efforts in that regard as well?
Sure. Our goal is to not duplicate things that are already out there. So to find little niches of things to discuss and present that aren't being touched on. And so we have a committee that does really 1 to 2 programs a year, usually 2 programs a year. And so it's really well thought out, well planned out. So panel discussions is usually the case, or it could be some kind of presentation, but we try to get niche topics. We talked about potentially getting continuing credit for that. But in order to do that, it's so complicated because we're all over the place. So we decided it's just not worth it right now. That's, energy not well spent for us. As exciting as that would be. I mean, I personally would love that. I can't tell you how many advanced credits I get in nothing related to Surety. So it's one of my pet peeves. But through this program, I feel like I personally am getting an expansive education on Surety, a very well-rounded education, which is really helpful. And I think others feel that way as well. And those are the programs that seem to attract the most diverse community to our events. Everybody's interested in them. So you may or may not be interested in being part of the mentorship program, but everybody's interested in education. And especially when you find a topic that's not being touched on in other places, those are usually jam-packed rooms.
That's great. Well, yeah,
I
it's been.
wanted
Oh,
to
go
give
ahead.
shout-outs just to, so, there are a couple of other founding board members. So Deborah
Sure.
Weinstein is the one who really put together our education program. She's one of our founding board members. Tara Quigley, who has been our treasurer, fantastic. And Teresa Giraldo, who was really the VP for many, many years, and she just rolled off. And so she's been really quite an advocate the whole time as well. So I want you to give them all credit where credit's due. It takes a village, believe me. You talk about all these programs, and as Chandar said, you think you're going in one direction, go in another direction, you step in where you're needed in order to make it happen.
That's terrific. Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot of work, but it's really coming to fruition. You're seeing a lot of growth and terrific progress, which is exciting.
Well, we were at NASBP, we were very excited to be able to align an event at the annual meeting. And really, I thought you guys had a terrific event and so appreciative of the ability to do that. So we look forward to doing that again and watching your growth and supporting you where we can.
And thank you for your sponsorship and commitment.
Yep. We very much appreciate that. I think a lot of our national exposure really catapulted after that event. So thank you for that.
Well, and if we do have anyone listening, because we do have listeners all over the country and all over the world, if anyone's listening and they want to find out more about women in surety and getting involved with you, where can they go to find out some more information? Nancy?
www.suretywomen.com or contact any one of us. Look us up on LinkedIn, Facebook, and you know where to find us at our respective companies.
And Instagram as well.
Yep, and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys all for being on. We'll have to have you guys back again sometime soon to tell us where you are in a year or so.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.
Before we go, we just want to say thank you again to Old Republic Surety for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. For more information on Old Republic Surety, visit www.orsurety.com.